Brilliance Audio presents Absolution by Ellen J. Green, performed by Angela Daw. The water was warm, lapping against her shoulders as she struggled for balance on the shifting sand. She scanned the shore, looking for signs of life. Nothing. She'd been careful before coming here, a deliberately chosen spot on a deserted beach. It had taken weeks of planning, finding this place. Quiet, empty, only the occasional fisherman popping up to cast a rod. She'd waited until the sun set, then moved steadily toward the water, wearing an abaya stolen from a woman at a nearby refugee camp. Made of black polyester, it was modest, cascading, forgiving. And with the cloth draped just right, she was sure no one had seen the skeletal remains she'd dragged behind her to the water's edge. Now she dipped beneath the waves, naked, waiting and watching. Leaving the scene was even more important, because she knew the skeleton would be found in the days to come, and an investigation would begin. She'd pulled the remains as far from the coast as she could manage, until her arms ached and water filled her nose and mouth. The bones, no skin, no hair, no nails, no teeth, seemed to glow in the moonlight. She treaded water, watching them float for a distance and then sink. Had she swum far enough for the remains to drift to Turkey? That was what she needed. An investigation of bones washing up on a Turkish shore would complicate things enough for her to get away. The girl, young woman really, had been sized up, stalked, watched for months before she'd been sacrificed. Her death had been quick. The throat slashed just deep enough so there was no struggle, but not so deep that it marred the bones beneath. Everything had to be right. And that took preparation and planning. It was difficult and painstaking to extract reliable DNA from bones, especially if some were missing. Thus, the soaking of the body, the removal of hair, skin, organs, even fingernails. Only a skeleton could remain. The dead girl had floated in the tub in a dank apartment for months, reeking and rotting until the flesh bloated and separated from the muscle beneath. Perfect for carving. The dead girl had been exactly 23, dark hair, fair skin, 5'5", thin. Their similarities were remarkable. Same height, same weight, same healed broken thigh bone. That had been fortunate. After searching for the perfect victim for months, she'd stumbled upon this simple Greek girl in the market. Ava had heard her chattering that her thigh bone always hurt when it was going to rain because she'd broken it in a fall when she was 12. She was rubbing her left leg as she spoke. A perfect match to Ava's own broken bone from a fall off a swing set when she was a child. The only discernible difference between them was that the dead girl's eyes had been brown, but it didn't matter. No one would see them when she'd finished preparing the body. Now the worst of the deed was done. The last part was inconspicuously getting from the water back to the clothes she'd left near a rock on the shore. She dipped down in the water again, realizing her nakedness was a problem. She gauged the distance from the edge of the water to the rock to be about 50 feet. The blackness, the absolute lack of light, save from what shone down from the heavens, was a comfort. Afto! A young male voice came through the darkness. Greek. The best she could put together from the fragments was, "What is it?" Kapios ina kieho, came the reply. Another male. She sank farther down into the water so that only her eyes were exposed. She saw the people's outlines in the distance, looking across the water. Someone is out there, he'd replied. They had a dog. She knew this only because it began to whimper and bark. Shit, she muttered, just above a whisper. Go away, you're ruining everything. They were just boys, not more than 10.